Have you ever played an RPG and tried talking to a character, only to realize that you're limited to a few branches of dialogue? And when you've exhausted all those branches, your only option is to repeat those same conversations over and over again? Or have you noticed that when you walk by certain characters, they will repeat the same few lines of dialogue in passing? These situations often break immersion, and I'm sure anyone who's experienced these issues has found themselves wondering at some point, what if I could talk directly to the characters in this game? Until recently, this has been out of reach due to technical limitations and time restraints. In most games, the main characters that the player talks to throughout the story will have an evolving script that progresses with the plot. But in even the most expansive titles, the amount of dialogue is limited by the time to write and record lines, as well as in-game implementation of these interactions. A few projects like Facade have tried to implement intelligent conversation, but so far nothing has broken out into the mainstream of game development. With the rise of huge AI models like ChatGPT and Claude, as well as local open source models like Mistral and Llama, it is now possible to generate convincing human dialogue in near real time. You can then take this text and feed it back into those same models to generate speech in the form of audio. And as their ability to reason and context size grow, their capability to quickly parse large volumes of nuanced information will only increase. As developers await advances for the foundational models powering AI applications, new paradigms have evolved in the AI development space. The most prevalent rising idea is that of Agents and Agentic Workflows. The concept has existed for some time, over 40 years, with a famous implementation being chatbots like Apple's Siri. What sets an agent apart from a traditional software program are autonomous execution and ability to reason about arbitrary input. For example, if you ask a Python interpreter to divide 3.14 by 0, you will simply throw a float division by 0 error. This necessitates a basic understanding of mathematics and the ability to read tracebacks. On the other hand, an agent like Siri can give a range of responses depending on how the question is framed. An agent can answer debatable questions, like who is the best NBA player, or what is the best fighting style, by providing the resources and context that shaped its response. Agents are designed to handle a broader array of tasks and provide more context-aware responses compared to traditional software, which follows predetermined logic and lacks the flexibility to adapt to nuanced inputs. The widespread proliferation of powerful yet relatively affordable AI models means developers can now build agents easier than ever. The most straightforward implementation is the aforementioned chatbot in its many forms. Using voice-to-text models, users can interact with agents through speech and have responses generated in near real time. Some projects are beginning to implement these features in games and engines like Unreal, and the results are looking promising. I'm working on a plugin for Godot Engine that aims to implement a simple agent API to generate rich conversational dialogue. More on that later. At its core, an agent is a program that can take requests, autonomously reason about them, and make decisions based on environmental data to generate output. An agent's environment can be determined by a number of factors, all of which are various forms of data the agent can draw from. An agent can have access to a repository of knowledge, stored in the form of a vector database, to draw quick comparisons and render answers based on precedent. Knowledge graphs can take this a step further, contextualizing concepts and forging connections between them. Agents can be configured to scrape the web, constantly pulling up-to-date information to best inform their decisions. And finally, agents can be equipped with streams of data coming from sensors like cameras, microphones, and even telemetry from satellites in orbit. Fundamentally, an agent does not require constant prompting and guidance. Instead, the agentic workflow is set up in such a way that it can, using reasoning and precedent, navigate its instructions and produce output. It can carry out actions autonomously, handling vast pools of often arbitrary information and parsing them into meaningful, actionable results. An even more complex agentic system can learn and update its behavior over time, attempting different solutions until it achieves its goal. Beyond chatbots, agents can serve a variety of purposes including automation and data analytics. Developers are hard at work today building tooling to enable the future of AI-integrated agents, and the sky's the limit on how these new capabilities will be used. As I mentioned before, I'm developing a plugin for the Godot game engine that aims to integrate LLMs and agentic concepts into an easy-to-use API. In case you didn't know, Godot is a free and open-source game engine for developing cross-platform 2D and 3D games. It has recently emerged as a champion in the indie dev scene for being a powerhouse of a tool, punching well above its weight in terms of capabilities and ease of use. I'll have their website linked down below. My plugin comes in two parts. First, you'll have the Python server that interfaces between the Godot engine and the OpenAI API. It's easy to define a character. Just create a YAML file in the characters folder with a name and a prompt. When you spin the server up, routes will automatically be defined according to how you named your character files. Using OpenAI's Assistance API, the characters you defined in YAML will be transformed into endpoints. You can then head over to the Godot Engine, put the plugins in the add-ons folder, and enable the plugin in your project settings. All interactions with the proxy server are handled via the Godot GPT NPC node, which has a set of predefined methods and signals for ease of use. Using the handler, you can create a thread on a character, send messages, and stream responses back. With this plugin, you can create NPCs with backstories and have them automatically generate dialogue. But enough talking, instead, let me show you what I've made. Let's jump right into it. As you can see here, I have a player character and an NPC, so let's go ahead and try talking to him. I'll go ahead and walk up, press E, and start a conversation. The first thing you'll notice is a post request on the server to the night/threads. That's what we want, so let's go ahead and start a conversation. I'll say, hello. Pretty common way to start a conversation. And you can see we have a streamed response back. He tells us what brings us to these treacherous marshlands. Well, I'm curious about what's around us, so let's say, I want to know what we have surrounding us. That's a really wordy way to say that, but I'm going to do it anyway. Another post request and a streamed response. And as you can see here, he's telling us all about what's around us. To the east, we have a cave. To the west, there's a river. To the south is a village, and then I missed. To the north, we have a necromancer's tower. And this is all really interesting, but I'm sure you're wondering how it all works. So let's go ahead and show off what's going on behind the scenes. The first piece of the puzzle is a Python server I wrote using Flask. Using this server, developers can easily define characters using YAML, just passing in a name and a system prompt. When the server is started, it'll read the names of the YAML files and create routes based on how they're named. For example, you can see I have pirate.yaml, and I have swagman dingle bottom boots, and a system prompt. You are a pirate. R. So let's go ahead and try talking to this guy. I'll go ahead and open Postman, create a thread, and then I'll go ahead and send him a message using raw JSON, send, and you can see here that I will start having a streamed response. Right now, all LLM calls are through ChatGPT, though I intend to add support for local models soon. The second half of the plugin is on the Godot side. The Godot GPT NPC handler node has predefined methods and signals to make interfacing with the proxy server easy. All you need to do is drop it in, connect it to the host, create a thread, and start sending messages. That's what I have right now, but stay tuned for more. I'm working hard to implement features like a vector database to store conversations and knowledge graphs for world awareness. I'll be sharing my progress here, so make sure to check back every week for updates. In summary, the rise of AI models is making developing agents easier than ever. Agents act autonomously, navigating their environment using precedent and reasoning to generate output. Agents can draw their information from many sources and can assume many roles. The potential for agents to transform software is enormous, and it seems that developers are just getting started building agents. I'll be making a series of explainer videos covering concepts using agentic workflows like knowledge graphs, vector databases, and the difficulties surrounding the scaling of AI applications. If you're interested, drop me a follow to stay up to date. And if you made it this far, liking and sharing this video with your circle helps me out a ton and I would appreciate it. That's it for this video. My name is Luis. Thank you for watching.